Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 46. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Demi Karpouzos. Demi is a business mentor, a published author, and a tell-all speaker. Hello, Demi.
Hi, Patience. Thank you for having me.
Well, here we are excited to have you and we want to know all about you. So I know the clan is anxious to hear your story. So let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, what you did before you started your online business? Take us right up to the last job or business you did before you online.
You bet. So it's funny because I was reading a bit about you, and it seems like we had the same itch, that entrepreneurial itch, but we took a bunch of different routes before we decided to explore it further. So with myself, I realized quite early on that I was unemployable. I have a very free spirit, and I enjoy having a freedom of my time and being able to dictate what my schedule is going to look like as opposed to being on somebody else's schedule. So my last job, I was in a managerial position, and I found that there came a point where I could no longer ignore the fact that it was killing my spirit. I found that I was waking up at the very last moment. I kept looking at the clock and trying to squeeze out every second, where before I've always been an early riser and enjoyed the day. I would be dreading going into work. I'd be thinking about it, as I was battling traffic. While I was at work, it wasn't so bad. It was just the process of getting there. And then I was so anxious to leave. And it happened where one day I had a coworker ask if she could speak with me after work. She's going through some issues, and I agreed, of course. And I normally got off at 4 p.m. Well, it was 6 p.m. by the time I started heading back out to my car, because that one person ended up turning into 3 people that wanted to speak with me. And as I was getting into my car, another coworker came up and she was laughing, and she said, "You know what, Dem, I really think that you should become a therapist or something, because I see that people keep coming to you to talk to you about their problems." And I knew I didn't want to go back to school, so I just kind of laughed it off. And as I was battling traffic on the way home, that something kept whirling around in my head. And when I got home, I don't even know what I typed into the search function. I just know somehow like coaching came up. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty interesting. And then I looked at different schools that would certify me, and where I could learn to hone in on my skills. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow, what a great background, Demi. So, what is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
Sorry, the most dangerous?
The most dangerous belief an
belief.
Online entrepreneur can have.
I would say that would be thinking it's going to come quickly. I think sometimes people think it's going to happen overnight or shortly thereafter, and it really comes down to being consistent and being focused and putting yourself out there. I also think a lot of people tend to hide behind their computer screen, which is great. But what I mean by that is they're not really putting their own voice out there and stating whatever their point of views are, their opinions, their whatever it happens to be. So I think it's twofold. One is thinking it's going to come quickly, and 2 is not making yourself visible.
Man aside, how do you know you are successful?
That is a great question. I would say that the fact that I get to live my core beliefs, which is time freedom, and without having to worry about taking care of the necessities. I also get to enjoy doing so every morning, for the most part, not every morning, I'd say 99% of the time, I look forward to my day. I get excited. I love that I get to help people. I get to also, help support my family. I don't have dependents, but I mean like my parents. So I would say it's, being able to help my family, as well as the sheer enjoyment of working with other people and helping them.
When you started online, did you have any problems? Did you think, yes, I'm going to start this business, I'm leaving all that one, I'm going to really start having clients and having all the money everyone says on the line you can get? Did you have that feeling?
I so did, Patience, and I can't tell you how many times I signed up for programs and I purchased products and workshops and the whole nine, and I thought, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it, and it wasn't it. And I realized I was missing a key foundational piece, which I think a lot of people, or at least the programs that I was participating, although the programs were good on their own, there was always a missing component with that. And that missing component is having my own audience, building my email list. I just kept thinking if I kept putting stuff out there, people would buy it. And that's not the case. You actually have to cultivate your own email list, your own following.
What reassurance or encouragement have you got for my members of clan who are not quite there yet?
I would say you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to there's never going to be enough money for you to start. Some people have this idea, oh, when I have this amount of money, or when this X, Y, and Z fall into place, that's when I'm going to take the action. I would strongly recommend that you just take that first step. Don't worry about what the next step is going to be. Just take the next one. Just take the first one and see how it will all unfold in front of you. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Nothing will ever be aligned. As much as I wish it were, that would be awesome. But that's very rarely the case, if ever. And another thing is, never let your fears outgrow your dreams. You're always going to be afraid, and the fear will depend on the size of the step you're going to take. Sometimes you're going to be a little bit afraid. Sometimes you're going to be scared out of your mind, and that will never go away. But the key is to still act in spite of that fear. We all feel that fear. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Just take action. There is a ton of information and you can get overwhelmed with the information. Trust me when I tell you that you probably know enough to start. People aren't short on information, they're short on implementation. So it's the action part.
Mm-hmm. What is the most valuable thing your mentor has told you?
I would say not to follow other people's paths. And what I mean by that is, especially at the beginning, it could be quite easy to pick and choose a couple of people that resonate with you and then emulate what they're doing. And that's fine, because you're going to start tweaking and finding out who you are along the way. But sometimes people get stuck in that. They just are repeating or emulating or copying somebody else's style without realizing or exploring whether that is actually who they are and what their beliefs are. We all have our strengths, our natural talents. Tap into those and utilize those. That was the best advice that my mentor gave me.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
Oh, can I be cheesy and say my heart?
Yes! We'll take that, but the next.
But in all seriousness, I would say that it's my experience that has been sharing my experience and helping people, whether it's in relationships or it could be in making money. I would say that's the most valuable, when the person implements it and then saves themselves the trouble that I went through or the mistakes that I made.
So you give out your time then.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. So we know you have this fantastic program. So briefly tell us, what is it? What can we get from Demi?
Oh, thank you for asking. So what I do is I help, as I mentioned before, I don't think people have a shortage of information, but what I do is I've curated, through all my experience and all my trials and tribulations, the best information, the strategies that work depending on each individual's personality, what their strengths are, and something that they're going to have fun with. So I take the top 3 marketing strategies for that individual person, and then more importantly, I help change their habits, and help them get out of their head the whole fear, any type of internal chatter that is going on that is preventing them from taking action, and we start developing that results muscle so that they cross the finish line. So my program is a 3-month program, and it's working one-on-one with people. I also have some group coaching, and yeah, that's about it.
Where do we find it?
If you go to igotafreegift.com, and there you're going to find there's a marketing funnel. So that'll also help you if you have some ideas of, what you want to do, what you want to put out in the world. It'll show you by putting it all within that funnel, if you're leaving any money on the table, if your pricing is on point, what you could add to start cultivating more relationships, to building your following. So that will help with that. And then that's a good way to get in touch with me too.
Okay. So, clan, there will be more fun from Demi, and in a moment, if you are listening to Demi's journey interesting and you're finding that you want to know more about her, and you can go and listen to the full version of her interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on Online Success Journey already, by clicking on part 2 of Demi's journey, you'll get more tips to help you with your online business. And don't forget, you can access all other online success interview podcasts on our site as well. So check out Demi's program, Money Funnel, at www.igotafreegift.com. Okay. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Demi. Join us in part 2 at onlinesuccessjourney.com.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.